ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Carey Baker.
Well, hello to everyone, including the folks behind the speaker. Thank you for having me here today, and I want to thank you for your involvement. It will be your activism, it'll be your engagement, your involvement that makes a difference in November in turning this country around. And I would say that indeed there's a historic opportunity to take back America this November. And this opportunity is going to be measured in many ways. And it'll be more than just throwing out the folks that have followed the Obama agenda of more government, more bureaucracy, more red tape, less freedom. The real opportunity will be when we elect folks like Bill Yost and Dan Webster and Sandy Adams. The real opportunity will be restoring constitutional government. The folks currently in office, by their word and their deed and their every action, has showed that they have a complete disrespect for the values and beliefs that made this nation exceptional. And nothing short of a complete reversal of what has been going on is necessary. We are a nation that is built on freedom and liberty. And it is our responsibility to return those to office, federal office, that believe in the values that made this country great, that believed in the ideas, the great experiment that is a proven success. It's a model for the world. Why have we rejected a successful model that's produced the most economically great, the freest nation in the world? Why have we rejected that? Well, the opportunity now is before us to elect good folks that can restore this nation to its greatness. And there's also, and I'm here today because I want to mention that here in Florida, there's also an opportunity, an additional opportunity in front of us. And it won't come easy, but with your work, it'll make a difference. Because besides electing new elected officials and holding them accountable, which they want to be held accountable, besides doing that, I want to mention that our founding fathers gave the judicial branch of government an obligation, and that was to defend our Constitution. They gave those folks in robes, those judges, a special place in government to enforce our laws, to protect our Constitution. And unfortunately, those judges have left that obligation behind. They have not enforced the laws that were as written and intended. They have not enforced our Constitution. They have ignored our elected representatives who, by their voice and their laws, represent you. And by their actions, they have eroded the Constitution of the United States. And so here in Florida, unfortunately, we have an example of that. In the Florida State Supreme Court, we have 7 members, 5 of which have forsaken their obligation to respect the Constitution, forsaken their obligation to enforce the laws of the laws that were written by your elected officials that you sent to Tallahassee to represent you. But fortunately, 4 of them are on the ballot, 4 of those Supreme Court. Now, 2 of them, their names are Kennedy and Polston. They're the good guys. Kennedy and Polston has upheld the Constitution. They've done the right thing. They've assumed a position not as conservative legislators or liberal legislators, but simply someone that fairly and unbiasedly interprets the law and interprets the Constitution. But unfortunately, there's 2 others that will also be on the ballot. And that's why I'm here today, and these are several names that I don't want you to forget. Justice LaBarga and Perry. Justice LaBarga and Perry. They were put on the court by our Democratic governor, Charlie Crist. And they have consistently sided against freedom and liberty. Specifically, they also struck down Amendment 9, the Florida Healthcare Freedom Act. That we have, Representative Scott Plakin was the House sponsor, myself the Senate sponsor. This was an idea that was brought to the legislature by you, the folks. It was your demand for accountability. It was your demand that the state of Florida stand up to the federal government, stand up to the unconstitutional acts that are in the federal health care bill. And we heeded your call. We did your work. We passed it, placed it on the ballot, only to have a majority of the Florida Supreme Court strike that down. Friends, Justice LaBarga and Perry denied your right to be protected from unconstitutional acts by the federal government. They denied your right to be able to vote for yourself, to be able to determine for yourself what kind of health care plan is best for you and your family. They took it upon themselves to express their own political biases when enforcing and upholding the law. And unfortunately, this type of activism is prevalent across the country, and we know of many cases. We know that the U.S. Supreme Court struck prayer in schools when that is clearly a 10th Amendment issue to be left to the states to decide. We know that multitudes of federal activities are in place because the U.S. Supreme Court has misconstrued the Interstate Commerce Clause. We know that the way the U.S. Supreme Court has interpreted the Supremacy Clause has made a mockery of our Constitution. Many examples. Recently in California, the California Supreme Court has affirmed the right that gay marriage is constitutional, even though the people of California specifically put in their state constitution that marriage is only between a man and a woman. Time and time again, these judicial activists have usurped their roles as judges and instead have looked upon themselves as super legislators, someone above the law, someone above you. They are not entitled to your, or they have not gained your respect. They have not been voted in place. They were appointed and given a special obligation because of that appointment. And that special obligation is to uphold the Constitution, and they have clearly failed. So friends, if we really want to take back America, we're going to have to take back the judiciary. And that. And if you would also, on a website that Jesse Phillips has put together, and an organization called citizen2citizen.us, Citizen to Citizen, that's the number 2, you can find out more information about this. We'll also be passing out handouts to remind you of the names LaBarga and Perry, so you don't forget this November. LaBarga and Perry. LaBarga and Perry. Folks, it's time, thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's time that we put Supreme Court justices that will respect the Constitution, not try to rewrite it, will uphold the Constitution, and not try to undermine it. Thank you so much.